Hey folks, good afternoon. If you're here for the luggage tag, you're at the right place. We got this code word competition going too. Take a seat. Come on, take a seat. You got to attend 3 Cisco sessions, collect all the keywords at the end of the presentations, go to the Cisco booth. You get to win a whole bunch of goodies and get to learn a lot. All right? All right, ready to go. So my name is Narendra. I'm a product manager at Cisco. I'm going to talk about how to deploy workloads at scale in a multi-cloud environment. And that's, of course, with OpenStack. All right, so from a multi-cloud and a hybrid IT solution perspective, we all realize that there are many places where we can deploy the workloads, but at the same time, there are certain things that cannot be many, that have to be one. Those are a single management platform. Things need to be application-centric instead of instances-based, as well as I should be able to move my workloads in a very seamless manner, as well as manage them through their life cycle. And the answer to that, the first step is Cisco CloudCenter, and that's the fundamental piece, right? So the Cisco CloudCenter is a solution in which you model once, deploy and manage anywhere, everywhere, and all the time. So you got a whole bunch of your applications, application profiles, be it Docker-based, Sugar CRM, Oracle databases, you name it, and essentially you're going to model this application as a real application package once, and you're able to deploy them at any cloud of your choice. That cloud can be in your data center, it could be a public cloud, it could be a private cloud. Of course, private cloud could be obviously OpenStack based, and one of those examples is also Cisco VIM, Cisco Virtualized Infrastructure Manager. So this one single platform gives you the ability to have an integrated solution, lifecycle management of your applications through their life, as well as a lot of other operational pieces that you'll see. And you can also mix and match new and existing applications while you bring in CloudCenter into your environment. So what are some of the primary use cases? Hybrid IT as a service, DevOps and CI/CD, capacity augmentation. You can start off in your private data center, or if you don't have any capacity in your private data center, you can start off in a public cloud, do your POC, do your tests, do your development, and then bring that back into your private cloud depending on cost, placement, and other considerations. Also migrating and managing workloads. You can migrate workloads from public to private, as well as private to public, and also manage these workloads and applications regardless of where they exist through a single platform and a console. And of course, all this driving a multi-cloud environment and making it a reality. Cisco CloudCenter has a unique approach to bring these set of capabilities to you, right? In the normal world, all things are script-based, right? So you are infrastructure specific, you have specific integrations going into each of these things, and that infrastructure specificity actually bubbles up to the rest of the pieces in your orchestration or app management, right? So you have to write cloud-specific workloads. It's also a lot of repeated work in terms of whether I want to deploy it on an Amazon cloud, an OpenStack, or a Google cloud, etc., right? So what CloudCenter gives you is the ability to take that same set of pieces of the puzzle and actually create an application out of it, and now you have a single platform that actually abstracts all of those clouds for you and is able to deploy them anywhere and everywhere you like, right? It could be AWS, Google, or OpenStack, or a container platform, on-prem or in public clouds. So the idea is be more application-centric, be cloud agnostic, of course, right? That's multi-cloud. And also at the same time have a lower TCO when we are doing all these things. So in CloudCenter, there are certain capabilities that are very unique, right? Of course, you model once and deploy and manage anywhere. And at the same time, there's a single application profile that you drive towards. Graphical modeler, you actually model an application, and I'll show you a demo of how that works. Of course, got a support for a broad set of applications, and there are about 19 platforms across which you can actually deploy your workloads, and of course, enterprise ready. So you basically have the flexibility to meet your business demands and drive your outcomes in many different ways, depending on your resource availability as well as location, cost, and all those pieces, right? So you can have a deployment of a simple virtual machine, or an IT tool, or an application. You can deploy a business application to any of the 19 plus platforms that CloudCenter supports, right? But that's for the, if you look at it, that's for the user point of view. I am able to deploy my workloads anywhere I want in any fashion I need. However, for the administrators at the same time, who are the infrastructure providers and the infrastructure managers, you also meet those needs for IT organizational operational capabilities, right? You should be able to manage your clouds, capacity, accounts, who gets to use which clouds, cost, whatever those variables may be. Should be able to manage users and tenants from a centralized console. Also be able to assign costs and usage controls along those. And you also tag these things, these applications, so that you can govern them as we go through this. And you'll see this very clearly in the demo. One of the other things here is, okay, it's hybrid cloud, it's multi-cloud management essentially, and it's one platform. It's also got some very salient features, right? Secure, scalable, extendable, as well as multi-tenant. So we've seen the multi-tenancy and the extensible part of this. Let's take a look at the security and the scalability aspects, right? So security, essentially, what you see here is on the left-hand side, you can have a profile manager, and that profile actually consists of a cloud profile, right? And that cloud profile is basically having your credentials of how do you log into the cloud, what's my account, how many virtual machines do I have, how much bandwidth or throughput do I have in the public cloud. However, that's also attached to an account and a username and a password. So how do I store those things in a secure fashion while not compromising these things to the rest of the users, right? So we use AES 56-based encrypted database. We also have a way to ground this into a optional hardware security module, so that anything from an administrative point of view, we are highly secure. At the same time, on the right-hand side, what you see is basically all your virtual machine access, regardless of which cloud your application is running on, is fully SSH based, so that, again, there's nothing that's going in clear and you're not compromising on security at any point of time. The second aspect is scalability, right? So if you have a simple example here, an application driven by CloudCenter and being run on an OpenStack infrastructure, and in this case, it's a Cisco Virtualized Infrastructure Manager platform, OpenStack platform from Cisco. So essentially what you can do here, right? So it's not just about, hey, can I do this? Can I make this work? It's also about scale and getting real world applications and deployments out there. So CloudCenter enables you to deploy up to 1,000 VMs in an OpenStack infrastructure, and that does not take hours and days to actually bring up those virtual machines and get the network connectivity going and all that. Given the power of some of the things that we have done with the integrations and the optimizations, you can actually bring up these 1,000 VMs in a matter of about 25 minutes or less with full network connectivity and validation. And it's not just a one-time wonder, right? It's a repeated number of tests on the same infrastructure without any change, so that there is resiliency, there is stability built into the platform, as well as the interfaces such as APIs and such, so that it's a enterprise-ready solution. Of course, this also has taken us to do a lot of infrastructure tuning to get such high scale and resiliency in the solution. All right, let me show you a demo of how this works. So what we have here is a is the console to a CloudCenter environment. And on the left-hand side, you see all the menu options in terms of the dashboard, the application profiles, where you actually go through a modeler to build an application. You look at how do you deploy these things, etc., etc. So starting off, here's all the application profiles that we have already built into the platform. And essentially, you create once, reuse many times. You can select one of these profiles and say, okay, let's deploy this in cloud A or cloud B or data center X, right? At the same time, what you can also do is create a new application profile. So what's happening here is basically we're starting off with an operating system with a virtual machine, but we are building a 3-tier web application, right? All right, so give me an operating system. Here is the specifications for that instance. All right. I can choose whichever virtual machine I want, or I'm just going to go grab a load balancer because I've already created that in my environment. So I'll start with a HA proxy. I'll pull in the Apache web server, second tier, and the third tier of a database in the back end, right? So it's as easy as that. Click and drag and create your application profile in a matter of a few seconds. So, and you can also, draw lines across these to create the connectivity and, get it going. However, what we're going to do next is basically pick an application that we've already built and see how this can be deployed in a multi-cloud environment. Just let the video roll for a few seconds here. Of course, you can choose which operating system, how many number of nodes, all the little pieces that you would like to configure. There we go. All right. That's the complete application profile builder. What I'm going to do is go in here and pull a WordPress application and deploy this. So I click on it. I say, okay, I want to deploy this application now. And my choice is I can deploy it on AWS. I can deploy it in my CloudCenter environment, in my OpenStack environment, VMware environment, Google Cloud environment, right? So I'm going to pick this and say, okay, here's the tag. And the tag is very important because that's how I track all these applications in my environment when it comes to costing and other things that you'll see at the end of this. I've choose the instance flavor that I would like to deploy and pick the cloud that I want to deploy it on. I want to deploy it on AWS. And I already know how much that costs me. So now I can actually figure out which is the best way to deploy this in terms of cost or any other factors in mind. I can deploy it on an hybrid cloud, but I'm going to decide and deploy it on AWS cloud. All right, ready to go. There we go. As easy as that. You pick your application that you already pre-built, launch it anywhere you need. So once you deploy it, I know all the details of where it got deployed, and here is a list of all the deployments that I already have. And if you look at it, basically the top one here is the WordPress one, which says in progress of deploying in AWS. And here is the status. And this is the action profiles. It's a sort of a policy mechanism in place here. So basically, I can add a policy and say, okay, in 2 hours, I want you to go check these things and take these actions, right? So when applications are running in an environment across multiple clouds, how do I actually trigger things and take care of things without having any manual interventions going forward, right? It's about is the job deployed, is the job charged, etc., 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 right? So if we go back to my deployments here, I'm going to click on this instance. So here basically you're seeing a summary of all the virtual machines running in your environment, how much did it cost me, and now here is a view of what are all the applications that I'm managing and what are all the applications that are unmanaged. So there are two profiles or two distinct types of applications in CloudCenter. One is managed, which means I am tracking that application, I know the cost of that application, I have policies built in to take action so that if the cost changes, I move it to another environment and such. The unmanaged ones are being, sort of, I am aware of those, but I don't have any policies or anything attached to them to drive them forward without any manual intervention. Here is the reporting view. I can actually look at the report and say, okay, how many deployments do I have? What is the total cloud cost? What's the runtime? How many VMs are running? Etc. So it's not just about, again, stitching it up. You stitch it up, stitch up an application and be able to deploy it once or many times. It's also about managing those applications, the life cycle of those applications, and at the same time also some of the other things in terms of TCO insights that we generally sort of ignore but are very critical to be, presenting a very useful ROI. So now back to the presentation. Before we get to the goodies, here are some of the presentations that we have going this week. These are not the only ones, right? So in the afternoon, we have a few sponsored sessions on the third level of the convention center. We're going to talk about IT, NFV, all of the top highly rated topics, as well as performance benchmarking, high performance networking, and titration analytics in the data center and such. All right, now. So here's the Cisco code word competition. Collect the code word. You have to collect 3 of them. There's my friends around here handing you out the cards. If you don't have a card, get a card. That's how you collect the names or the code words for this competition. Go to the Cisco booth at 6 p.m. and you get to win a lot of goodies. And you also have a little thank you luggage tag here for all the folks sitting here and avoiding lunch. So that's great. So here's the code word for this presentation, DevOps. Write it down, take a picture, write it on your finger, write it on your t-shirt, whatever makes sense. All right? Thank you for the time. Hope you folks have a great summit.